There is still an air of ambiguity surrounding 28 Years Later story, but the film's potential 28 Days Later connections leave room for speculating how it will continue Cillian Murphy's Jim's narrative. Directed by Danny Boyle and co-written by Alex Garland, 28 Years Later is already one of the most anticipated films of 2025 because it has been created by the two powerhouses who made 28 Days Later. Despite having a fairly low budget of $8 million, 28 Days Later single-handedly resurrected the zombie horror genre when it first premiered in 2002 and even did great numbers at the box office. The film's success even spawned a sequel, which, unfortunately, could not meet the high standards set by 28 Days Later. Thankfully, decades after the movie franchise was abandoned, Danny Boyle and Alex Garland decided to give it a second chance. Cillian Murphy, who played Jim in the first film, also hopped on board as an actor and executive producer. Since Murphy's character is the only connective thread between the first film and 28 Years Later, his story will play a crucial role in determining whether the sequel will be as good as 28 Days Later or another underwhelming edition like 28 Weeks Later. Jim dies midway through 28 Years Later. Jim's death seems likely after new updates surrounding Cillian Murphy's role. When Sony Motion Pictures Group chairman Tom Rothman confirmed Cillian Murphy's return in 28 Years Later, he cautiously said that the actor reprises his role as Jim in a surprising way and in a way that grows. While this does not disclose the capacity in which Jim will be featured, it hints he may not be among the key players in the film. As Rothman's statement suggests, the film will not only honor his past from 28 Days Later but also adopt a standalone narrative where Jim will appear for a while, make an impact, and then leave. This makes it hard not to believe the film will kill his character midway through its runtime. At its core, 28 Days Later was more or less about humans holding on to their fundamental values by creating family units in the post-apocalyptic world. After losing their loved ones, Jim and Selena found solace when they teamed up with the warm, loving father, Frank, and his daughter, Hannah. Even after Frank's death, Jim fought with the soldiers as if Selena and Hannah were his own family. The soldiers, too, had somewhat of a family-like dynamic where each assumed a specific role. If 28 Years Later focuses on similar themes, Jim could be the central fatherly figure like Frank. He could not only be a biological father to his own child with Selena but also a guiding force for a much older Hannah. Although Selena and Hannah's return in the film seems uncertain, 28 Years Later can still portray Jim as a mature, protective figure who understands that the key to humanity's survival is its ability to stand together in the face of danger. After experiencing enough tragedies in the post-apocalyptic world and learning enough about the rage virus' impact on humanity, Jim could be a protective patriarch for anyone struggling to survive.